Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. God Premanande, Hare Hare. All right, welcome dear devotees for joining us on our Friday evening session on Bhagavad-gita discussions, and I have Sukumalade Mataji, Vṛndāvana-devi Dasi Mataji, Varshana-devi Dasi, Sutapa Mataji, Sukarupa Dasi Mataji, Kiran Goyal Mataji, Kiran Khosla Mataji, and Mala Mataji. All right. So we will
Mataji,
go.
मैं भी हूँ हरे कृष्णा जी.
Kiran Goyal and oh, Jyoti joined. Is that? I didn't see you join.
जी माताजी हरे कृष्णा.
Jyoti has joined. All right. Okay. So we'll put Jyoti also. Mala, would you like to read today or you like to continue to listen? Okay. We'll check with Mala when we come to her. So what chapter are we doing from Bhagavad-gita?
8th chapter, and today's shloka will be 21. 8:21.
This shloka 21. All right. Should we go straight to shloka 21?
No, Mataji, we will be reading the whole chapter.
We won't leave.
All right.
We won't leave.
On popular demand, then let me see, where do I have that open? Chapter 8 of Bhagavad-gita. All right, no talking between the call. Okay, class is going on, no chatter.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so
is...
okay means okay, and then we stop.
Oh.
Right, yeah, that's how it is. Okay, I'm sharing a couple of folder windows with you. Can somebody confirm? Can you see? And what do you see?
Yes, we can see.
Chapter 8,
Yes. 18 the Supreme. Attaining the Supreme.
Attaining the Supreme. Do you see something else?
Text 1.
Text no. We see the names.
Yeah,
The order.
Okay, good.
Yes, we can see the names in the order.
Yeah. All right. So then we will start with Sukumalade Mataji without much ado, and we will just, everybody else will listen. Okay, text 1 for you.
Arjuna inquired, O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the Self? What are fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this to me.
Who is the Lord of sacrifice, and how does he live in the body? O Madhusudana, and how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death?
Hare Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the indestructible, transcendental living entity is called Brahman, and his eternal nature is called Adhyatma, the self. Action pertaining to the development of the material bodies of the living entities is called karma or fruitive activities. Hare Krishna. Sutapa.
Text 4.
Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. O based of the embodied beings, the physical nature, which is constantly changing, is called Adhibhuta, the material manifestation. The universal form of the Lord, which includes all the demigods, like those of the sun and moon, is called Adhideva. And I, the Supreme Lord, represented as the Super Soul in the heart of every embodied being, am called Avyakto, the Lord of Sacrifice.
And whoever at the end of his life quits his body remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt.
Next 6. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna ji. Therefore, Arjun
Therefore, Arjun, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duties of fighting with your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me. You will attain me without doubt. Hare Krishna ji.
Hare Krishna ji. He who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path. He, O Partha, is sure to reach me.
Are we waiting for Mala Mataji or should I read?
Let's check with Mala. Mala Mataji, are you in a position to read today?
I can cover Paramāṁ Mataji if she's not ready
No,
to
that's
read.
okay.
One should meditate upon the Supreme Person
I think she said that's okay. Maybe Mala, were you saying something? So I heard her, that's okay. I don't know.
Okay, I can go ahead and read Mataji.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
One should meditate upon the Supreme Person as
Today I am listening mode, Mataji.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
one should meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything, as he who is the oldest, who is the controller, who is smaller than the smallest, who is the maintainer of everything, who is beyond all material conception, who is inconceivable, and who is always a person. He is luminous like the sun, and he is transcendental beyond this material nature.
One who at the time of death fixes his life air between the eyebrows and by the strength of yoga with an undeviating mind engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Persons who are learned in the Vedas, who utter Omkara, and who are great sages in the renounced order, enter into Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. Hare Krishna.
Varshana Mataji.
Yes, sorry, Mataji. The yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagements, closing all the doors of senses and fixing the mind on the heart and the life air at the top of the head. One establishes himself in yoga. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Text 13. After being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets.
For one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Pritha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service.
Next 15. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. Hare Krishna.
From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. Hare Krishna ji.
By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together form duration of Brahma's one day, and such also is duration of his night. Hare Krishna ji.
At the beginning of Brahma's day, all living entities become manifest from the unmanifest state, and thereafter, when the night falls, they are merged into the unmanifest again.
Again and again, when Brahma's day arrives, all living entities come into being, and with the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated.
Varsana Mataji.
Yes. Yet there is another unmanifest nature which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is the supreme and never annihilated. And all this world is annihilated, that remains as it is. Hare Krishna.
That which the Vedantists describe as yes, Mataji, I'm reading. That which the Vedantists describe as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as the supreme destination, that place from which, having attained it, one never returns, that is my supreme abode.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is attainable by unalloyed devotion. Although he is present in his abode, he is all-pervading and everything is situated within him.
Text 23. O best of the Bhartas, I shall now explain to you the different times at which passing away from this world, the yogi does or does not come back. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna ji. Those who know the Supreme Brahman attain that supreme by passing away from the world during the influence of the fiery god in the light at an auspicious moment of the day, during the fortnight of the waxing moon, or during the 6 months when the sun travels in the north. Hare Krishna ji.
Hare Krishna ji, the mystic, the mystic passes away from this world during the smooth, the night, the fortnight of waning moon, or the 6 months when the sun passes to the south, reaches the moon planet, but again comes back. Hare Krishna ji.
According to Vedic opinion, there are two ways of passing from this world, one in light and one in darkness. When one passes in light, he does not come back, but when one passes in darkness, he returns.
Although the devotees know these two paths, O Arjuna, they are never bewildered. Therefore, be always fixed in devotion.
A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing sacrifices, undergoing austerities, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all these, and at the end, he reaches the supreme eternal abode. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so let's see, what did we do last week?
We did the 20th shloka, Mataji, which said that everything gets annihilated, and then something eternal which never gets annihilated, and that remains as it is, and that is the Krishna's superior energy, the transcendental energy. It is completely opposite to the opposite to the quality, opposite to the material nature.
Nice. So let's just then go and do text 21, today's verse. And we'll continue on our discussions and questions, etc. after that, so that we can cover the verse for the day. Okay. So let me start sharing. Here, tell me, can you see 81?
Yes.
All right. Avyakto kṣara uktas tamahu paramām gatim yam prāpya na nivartante tattama paramam mama. Synonyms: avyaktaḥ, unmanifested; akṣaraḥ, infallible; iti, thus; uktaḥ, is said; tam, that; āhuḥ, is known; paramām, the ultimate; gatim, destination; yam, which; prāpya, gaining; na, never; nivartante, comes back; tat, that; dhāma, abode; paramam, supreme; mama, mine. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. That which the Vedantists described as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as the supreme destination, that place from which, having attained it, one never returns, that is my supreme abode. Purport. The supreme abode of the personality of Godhead Kṛṣṇa is described in the Brahma-saṁhitā as cintāmaṇi-dhāma, a place where all desires are fulfilled. The supreme abode of Lord Kṛṣṇa, known as Goloka Vṛndāvana, is full of palaces made of touchstone. There are also trees called desire trees that supply any type of eatable upon demand, and there are cows known as Surbhi cows which supply a limitless supply of milk. In this abode, the Lord is served by hundreds of thousands of goddesses of fortune, Lakshmis, and he is called Govinda, the primeval Lord and the cause of all causes. The Lord is accustomed to blow his flute, Venun Kunantam. His transcendental form is the most attractive in all the worlds. His eyes are like lotus petals, and the color of his body is like the color of clouds. He is so attractive that his beauty excels that of thousands of cupids. He wears a saffron cloth, a garland around his neck, and a peacock feather in his hair. In the Bhagavad-gītā, Kṛṣṇa gives only a small hint of his personal abode, Goloka Vṛndāvana, like in this verse, which is the supermost planet in the spiritual kingdom. A vivid description is given in the Brahma-saṁhitā. Vedic literatures, Kaṭha Upaniṣad 1.3.11, state that there is nothing superior to the abode of Supreme Godhead, and that abode is the ultimate destination. Purushan na param kinchit sa kṣṭha parama gatihi. When one attains it, he never returns to the material world. Kṛṣṇa's supreme abode and Kṛṣṇa himself are non-different, being of the same quality. On this earth, Vrindavan, 90 miles southeast of Delhi, is a replica of the supreme Goloka Vṛndāvana located in the spiritual sky. When Kṛṣṇa descended on this earth, he sported on that particular tract of land known as Vrindavan, comprising about 168 square miles in the district of Mathura, India. Om Tat Sat. Okay, so let's take some reflections on what you heard so far or what you read so far. But let's focus on the verse for today. Welcome, Subodhi Mataji.
Description of Vaikuntha.
Description of Vaikuntha, good.
Description of Kṛṣṇa.
Description of Kṛṣṇa, good. And what is today's verse basically saying?
This verse,
in few words.
Once one attains that destination, the supreme, no, but that person doesn't come back again.
Come back. Okay. Yes, that's correct. Okay, so let's go back and look at the Bhagavad-gītā that we read just now from chapter number 8. So let's go there. So if you look at chapter 8 and this laptop is falling down. Okay. Yeah, if you look at chapter number 8 from 15th verse onward, and 15 is a very famous verse from chapter 8.15. He says, after attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries because they have attained the highest perfection. So what is full of miseries called?
Dukhalayam ashashvatam
dukhalayam.
Dukhalayam ashashvatam. Right? So what's the meaning of ashashvatam in English from this verse?
It's not
temporary.
Temporary, right? Yeah. So Kṛṣṇa has explained to you that this world is temporary. Right?
Yeah.
And then again, he says from the highest planet in the material world, if somebody just thinking that, okay, somewhere in this temporary world, I'll find some happiness. Maybe Kṛṣṇa just made a generic statement that it's a place of misery and maybe I can find something here, like little bit, maybe, right? But then he's confirming and he's saying from the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of miseries wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, the son of Kunti, never takes birth again, right? And birth, the concept of birth applies to the material world. Okay? So you don't come back to the so-called material world. by human calculation, and then we had all those calculations, right? He was telling, like, how long does Brahma live? Okay, so when he's telling you that there is repeated birth and death, now he's telling you how often it's going to happen to you. So we did calculate, right, 1,000 ages, and then we came to 311 trillion, 40 billion, right? We did all that. Calculation said, okay, that is how long Brahma lives. And then what happens during one day of Brahma? Half a day we are being born and dying, born and dying, born and dying. And then when night comes, we get sucked into Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And then when the next day comes, again, we go into that cycle of birth and death, birth and death, birth and death, right? And then finally, when Brahma dies, we all get sucked into the womb of Karanadakshay Vishnu or Narayan, and we stay there. And then when he exhales, all the universes are created again, and the whole cycle repeats again and again, right? So he's just telling you that our journey or sojourn into this Dukhalayam Ashashvatam, is very long, very, very long, right? It's not just 311 trillion, 40 billion. If you think I can digest that figure, it will happen over and over and over again, right? So that's why he's saying again and again when Brahma's days arrive. So he's explaining that till 20, right? Till 19. Right? So he's painted a bad picture of the material world because he wants you to turn your face away from the material world. And then in verse number 20, now this is the transition verse where he's transitioning after telling you all the bad stories and all the bad things. And when we are like, oh my goodness, this is what, is there any relief for me at all? And that is when in verse number 20, he's saying, yet there is another unmanifest nature, which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested nature. So all this again and again being manifest, again unmanifest, again manifest, again unmanifest, all this is going on, but he's saying there's something beyond this. And that part is not ashashvatam, and it is not dukhalayam either. So that is supreme and is never annihilated. And he's saying when all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as is. So now he's telling you nice, after taking you through the miseries of this material world and the repetition of these miseries in this material world, now he's showing you the good picture over there, that there is some place. So obviously the next question that we will ask is, where is it? How can I go there, right? These are questions and he wants us to ask those questions, right? And so now today's verse, he's now explaining and going a little bit more into that verse. And he's saying that which the Vedāntists describe as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as a supreme destination, that place from which having attained it, whenever returns, that is my abode. So now Krishna is telling you that, okay, that is where I live. Okay? And in the verse, in the purport, Prabhupada has very beautifully brought in a verse from Brahma-saṁhitā, the verse that we describe all the time, that we sing every day. What is that verse?
Cintāmaṇi-dhāma Lakṣāvriteshu surabhir abhipālayantam Lakshmi sahasrasatasam brahmasevyamanam Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami.
Nice. In the morning in the temple, which verse do we do? Brahma-saṁhitā?
28.
Do we do this?
Venum kvanantamaravindha dalayataaksham Barhavatam asitambudasundarangam Kandarpakotikamaniya visesha shovam Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami.
Right? Thank you. So that's a verse that Srila Prabhupada has also quoted in today's verse, and it's such a beautiful verse that lets us go a little bit deep into it, right?
I'm sorry, I couldn't control myself, Mataji.
No problem, no problem. You said it beautiful. Venun is the flute, Kvanantam, playing, Arvind Dala, like lotus petals, Ayata, blooming, Aksham, whose eyes. Now, when we go and look into the synonyms, we get a little bit more intimate with the verse. For those of us when we go and sing in the temple, right? So, Venun Kvanantam Aravinda Dalayataaksham. Dalayataaksham, we just say that as one word, right? But when we go inside, what is it? Arvinda Dal. Oh, Arvinda Dal. And then Arvinda like lotus
Aksham.
petal.
Yeah.
Hold on, Mataji. Ayata is blooming, right? So ayata, dalayata, and then aksham is eyes. Okay, and then we say barhavatam samasitam, right? So when we sing like that, barhavatam, and then we take this one, barhavatam samasitam, right? And then we take this and then we say Buddha Sundarangam. Like this is how we are singing it to go with the meter, right?
Yeah.
And then, but if you look at the words over here, right? Barha is a peacock's feather. Barha Pidam Natavaran Vapu, right? That song also has Barha. Avatam Sam means those ornament on the head. Then Asita Ambuda. Tinged with the ambuda is the one that carries water, which is the clouds, right? The tinged with the hue of blue clouds. Sundara is beautiful. Angam, whose figure. Kandarpa of cupids. And then Koti is millions. Kamaniya is charming. Vishesha is unique. Shobham, whose loveliness. Govinda, Adi Purusham, the original person, Tam, him, Aham, I, Bhajami, worship. Right? So you see how, well, going into the meaning of this, then this verse that we have been chanting, through the rhythm and as a matter of practice and habit, we notice the beauty of this verse here. And thank you to Srila Prabhupada for translating that, right? Because so many of us remember so many verses without knowing the meaning because we have been chanting them since childhood. So now let's look at the purport. So now he's saying the matchless beauty. It is matchless. The Supreme Lord of Goloka is being described. Krishna, the all-pervading cognition, has a spiritual form of his own. The form of Krishna is not a fanciful creation of imagination formed after visualizing the beautiful things of the world. What Brahma saw in his ecstatic trance of pure devotion, because the Brahma-saṁhitā Brahma is speaking, right? So Brahma is describing, because that is how he saw Krishna there, right? Is being described. Krishna is engaged. So it's not like somebody trying to write a beautiful poem about somebody and then focusing on the beauty of the poetry. No. Just by describing Krishna, that poetry itself becomes beautiful. That flute, so he's engaged in blowing upon his flute. That flute, by his enchanting musical sound, attracts the hearts of all living beings. Just as a lotus petal produces a pleasant sight, so the two beautiful eyes of Krishna, who causes the manifestation of our spiritual vision, display the unlimited splendor and beauty of his moon-like face. The loveliness that adorns his head with the peacock feather figures, the corresponding feature of the spiritual beauty of Krishna. Just as a mass of blue clouds offer a specially soothing, pleasant view, the complexion of Krishna is analogously tinged with a spiritual dark blue color. And when we talk about dark blue, gray color and all that, when I say gray, you can remember and think of various shades of gray that you have seen in your life, right? Similarly, when we talk about dark blue, we look at some shades and we understand, okay, this is Persian blue, this is dark blue, this is navy blue, like that. So, but then these blue colors and the gray colors that are being described here by Brahma, they might not necessarily correspond to the gray and the blue that we see as it is. They're just trying to come a little close to our understanding, but these are transcendental colors because Krishna is transcendental. So when we see Krishna, then we will know exactly, what that color is when they say bluish gray and dark blue or black. The beauty and loveliness of Krishna is far more enchanting than that of Cupid multiplied 1,000,000-fold. And we know that Cupid himself, right? Cupid himself is supposed to be so beautiful, right? Kamdevta is supposed to be so beautiful. And now we're saying that his beauty he's even more beautiful than those Cupids, right? And so that is Krishna. And then Krishna's dham, the place, is such a beautiful person. And where does he live? He lives in Goloka Vṛndāvana, in the transcendental world, right? And in the transcendental world, how is that transcendental world? We read that last time, and Vindhyavali Mataji also recited. right? The prayer, right? Lakshmi Sahasra Shata Sambrama Sevyamanam, right? So there are many, the house, his whole home is made up of touchstone gems, and there are so many beautiful kalparikshas, there are beautiful trees, and we also read last time from Brahma-saṁhitā on how the men are there. Yeah. So we are, so then we also read about, we read from the Srimad Bhagavatam about how in these planets, when there are different entities that are singing, and even when the bee is buzzing, then the birds who sing very sweetly like cuckoo and all that, they also stop singing. And then they start listening to what the bumblebee has to say. So Prabhupada explains in the purport that, and he says that it is all, even there, the mood is about hearing. And it is very important. So it's not that cuckoo thinks that I sing so beautifully, so I should be the one who should be singing and everybody should keep quiet. No. Even the cuckoo wants to hear the glories of the Lord. So when bumblebee is reciting the glories of the Lord, then the cuckoo also stops. So that's the mood. And there is nothing like if cuckoo sings very beautifully that the bumblebee is envious of it. So envy is not existent. Envy is non-existent in the material world, right? Now, in today's verse, what did Krishna say in today's verse? Yad gatva na nivartante, tad-dhama paramāṁ. So he's talked about a few things, right? Tad-dhama, that's that dhama. Avyakta. So he's avyakta. Now, if we go back and look at, let's go back to last week's verse that we did, which was 820, right? So let's look at 820. In 820, what he was describing, parasmastu bhavanyo vyakto vyaktat sanatanaha yatu sarveshu bhusteshu nasyasuna vinashyati. So then he was saying that yet there is another unmanifested nature which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested nature, right? So we talked about manifested and unmanifested nature, unmanifested matter, right? So what did we talk about? And when we say something is unmanifested, what does it mean? There was a question somebody had asked last week on that. So when we say this is unmanifested, what does that mean?
Because avyaktaḥ, so unmanifest.
Not in being, what?
Not in?
Avyaktaḥ.
Not seen?
Not seen, right?
Yes.
Cannot be seen.
Cannot be seen. Correct. Yeah. That which cannot be seen is unmanifested, right? And then, so in this material world, what is unmanifested? What cannot be seen in this material world?
Air cannot be seen.
Yes, correct. What else cannot be seen?
Spirits. They
Soul.
exist.
Say that again.
And
Soul?
all abstract things like pain,
Right.
and like
Happiness.
Mind, thoughts,
Mind,
thoughts.
intelligent, right?
Oh,
Yeah. So these are unmanifested things, but they are, so now this is what he's saying. So parastasmastu bhavanyo vyakto vyaktadra, avyakto vyaktad, right? So avyakta, unmanifest, and avyakta to the unmanifested. So he's saying that he's using the word avyaktad is unmanifested. Okay. Now let's go to today's verse. Avyakto ikshar tam ahuḥ. Avyakto kṣara iti uktas tam āhuḥ paramāṁ. He said that unmanifested is my abode, right? And in the previous verse, so we have to understand the difference that he's using the word avyakta. In the previous verse, also he's using the word avyakta, but the word avyakta there means unmanifest, but he's talking in the context of material world. Where in the previous verses, he was talking about repeated manifestation, unmanifestation, manifestation, unmanifestation, right? So in that verse, when he's using the word avyakta, he's talking about the material things, which are sometimes they are manifested, sometimes they are not manifested. But here, in this particular word where he's saying that, where he's using the word avyakto iti uktas. So that unmanifested is called my abode. So we have to understand, although the word avyakta is here, we should not understand that to be a material unmanifestation. This is transcendental. In this verse, he's talking about transcendental. So that's why I was saying that he has been describing Dukkhalayam, Ashashvatam, Brahma's life, Brahma's annihilations, all happening in the material world. And then we had the transition verse last time, and now he's coming here, and now he's using the word avyakta, but now we are in the transcendental world, right? And then he says, what does he say? Tad dhama paramāṁ, that is my dham. Okay, so one of the things we also have to keep in mind here is that we read about, and we also read in this chapter about Om Ityakshara Brahma Vyaharan Musmaran, right? So we said person who does chant the name Om, Om like that, right? So where do they go? They will go to the, where do they go? A person who chants Om, Om, where will he go?
Brahman.
Brahma-jyoti.
He'll go to the Brahma-jyoti, right? So now there are a lot of factions who will tell you that that's the ultimate that you should do, right? Because people are, when they try to see, for example, if I say, I'm just giving an example. Let's assume there's a person called, give me any name. I don't want to take any names. Just give me any name of a female.
Take my name.
No, any other name from anybody else who's not here.
You can take my name, Kiran.
Are you not here?
Hari Ram.
You can take my name.
No devotional
Hari
names.
Ram.
No devotional names. Give me a name from the mundane world.
Hari Ram.
Jyoti. Vijay.
Vijay. Okay, thank you. All right, so Vijay.
That's my name. That's my name.
Yeah. So we might just say that if I don't get along with somebody, okay, suppose I don't get along with Vijay. Okay. If I don't get along with Vijay, this means that whenever Vijay is around me, I will have problems and I'll be unhappy. So then I will say, and pardon to all the Vijayas who are listening to this, then I would say that, if Vijay is removed from my sight and from my system, then I will get happiness, because my cause of unhappiness is Vijay, right? So sometimes people, when they are going through misery, they are thinking, and then they realize they are smart. And so they realize that the miseries of this world that they are undergoing, those miseries are coming because of the body, right? When was it in the morning that your soul started sneezing and your soul had fever, right? So it's all in our body, gross or subtle. So they realize that. So their body becomes their Vijay. And it's like, if Vijay is out, I will get happiness. So they think that, if I don't have a body, I will be happy. So that is why they go and focus on the Brahman effulgence. And for them, the paramāṁ gatim, the ultimate for them is to merge into the Jyoti. So there is no body there at all, and there will be no cause. So because they think the body gives you grief, and they know that God is Satchit Anand, God is Anandmaya, so then how can God have a body? Because body gives me grief. That's how they think, because they are hovering on the material plane. They are thinking on the material plane there, right? So people might think like that. So for them, the ultimate destination is
Brahma-jyoti.
Brahma-jyoti, correct, for 500 points. For them, the ultimate destination is Brahma-jyoti. But what is Krishna saying? He describes his dham, right? But what is the adjective that he used to describe the word dham in today's words? Oh, go and look at your words and tell me.
Paramam.
Paramam dham, correct. Param means?
Supreme.
Param means
Supreme.
the best.
Right? So you have to understand that is what it is, the supreme. And in chapter 14, which we have not done now, but in chapter 14, the very last verse of chapter 14 is kind of like the death knell for all the Brahmavadis or the impersonalists or the Mayavadis. Let me share 4.27 here. So he says, Brahmano hi pratisthaham amritasyavya Yasya cha shashvatasya cha dharmasya sukhasya yekanti kasya cha. So what he's saying is, and I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, the Dhamma Jyoti, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is a constitutional position of ultimate happiness, and ultimate happiness in the sense that the body is gone. Okay. So the constitution of Brahman is immortality, impersonality, eternity, and happiness. Brahman is the beginning of transcendental realization. Paramatma, the supersoul, is the middle, the second stage in transcendental realization. And Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate realization of the absolute truth. That's why he's saying paramam mama. When you come to my home, it's the ultimate. Therefore, both Paramatma and the impersonal Brahman are within the Supreme Person. It is explained in the 7th chapter that material nature is the manifestation of the inferior energy of Supreme Lord. The Lord impregnates the inferior material nature with fragments of the spiritual nature, which is the souls, and that is the spiritual touch in the material nature. When a living entity conditioned by this material nature begins the cultivation of spiritual knowledge, he elevates himself from the position of material existence and gradually rises up to the Brahman conception of the Supreme. This attainment of the Brahman conception of life is the first stage in self-realization. At this stage, the Brahman realized person is transcendental to the material position. The Vijaya is gone, but he is not actually perfect in Brahman realization. If he wants, he can continue to stay in the Brahman position, and then that is a question people oftentimes ask, and then gradually rise to the Paramatma realization, and then to the realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are many examples of this in the Vedic literature. For example, the 4 Kumaras were situated first in the impersonal Brahman conception of truth, but then they gradually rose to the platform of devotional service. One who cannot elevate himself beyond the impersonal conception of Brahman runs the risk of falling down. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that although a person may rise to the stage of impersonal Brahman, without going further with no information of the Supreme Person, his intelligence is not perfectly clear. Therefore, in spite of being raised to the Brahman platform, there is a chance of falling down if one is not engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. In the Vedic language, it is also said, Raso Vaisaha Rasam Hi Evayam Labdvanandi Bhavati. When one understands the personality of Godhead, the reservoir of pleasure, Kṛṣṇa, he actually becomes transcendently blissful. Kaṭha Upaniṣad 2.7.1. The Supreme Lord is full in 6 opulences, and when a devotee approaches him, there is an exchange of these 6 opulences. The servant of the king enjoys on an almost equal level with the king. And so eternal happiness, imperishable happiness, and eternal life accompany devotional service. Therefore, realization of Brahman or eternity or imperishability is included in devotional service. This is already possessed by a person who is engaged in devotional service. Okay. So he's emphasizing the importance of devotional service. So if we go back to the verse here today, he says that Tat Dhama Paramam Mama. So that is my supreme abode, that Dhama, right? Now let us see what is one more characteristic of that Dham that was described here. Apart from the fact that it is unmanifest, it's infallible, it is paramam. What is one more quality of this place?
Mataji, can I ask one question, or I should
Yeah,
keep my
hold on.
question for the end?
Yeah, hold on to that thought. Yeah. So my question here is that
Supreme destination.
Supreme destination is paramam, right? That was this that we took. Supreme destination, unmanifest, manifest, avyaktaḥ, infallible, akṣara. That is come. There's one more quality of that place. That is described.
One never returns.
One never returns. Right? Very nice. Okay. So now, in our life, in our day-to-day lives, one never returns word is usually used in a negative way.
Yeah.
Right? For example, he went to the hospital and never returned home.
Never returned home.
Right? Right? He went out on the sea. He never came back. Right? Or have you heard of the word, the term Bermuda Triangle?
Yes.
Right? What happens in the where is
Was there,
Bermuda
they
Triangle?
won't. Was there, they won't return.
Right? Where is Bermuda Triangle?
It's
Somewhere in Atlantic Ocean.
It's in the Atlantic Ocean, correct, right? So the Bermuda Triangle is in the Atlantic Ocean, and they say that, you know, ships go and they are sucked in and they never return. Aeroplanes are sucked in, they never return. And people talk about various kinds of, you know, mystical influences and things like that. Of course, science doesn't agree to that, but whatever it is, you know.
Titanic went and
So
never
then,
returned.
yeah. So then, so then the thing here is that we don't think of not returning as tat gatva na nivartante. Gatva means wahan jaake na nivartante, wapas nahi aata hai. Right? Now let's look at one more verse from Bhagavad-gītā, where Krishna is actually describing this material world. In which chapter of Bhagavad-gītā does Krishna describe the material world? Tell me, BG. 15, right? Urdhvamulam adhashakam ashvatam prahuravyayam. Right? So there is an
15,
inverted
Mataji,
panel.
15.
Right? No, 15 is sarvasya chaham hiri sannivishto. That Krishna is talking about, that I do this, right? But the material world itself is described in Bhagavad-gītā from the beginning in chapter 15. I don't know why it went to 14. Let me just grab that. And if you look at verse number 1, and Sukha, I'm mindful that you have a question there. Just hold on to it. So Shri Bhagwan Vacha Urdhvamulam adhashakam, right? Inverted. So he's saying that the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said there is an imperishable banyan tree that has roots upwards and his branches down, and his leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. So you understand what this tree does, right? Then again, if we go to the next verse there, text number 2, he said, so he's continuing to describe this one. It says, branches of this tree extend downwards and upwards. They're nourished by the 3 modes of material nature. Imagine being nourished by rajas, tamas. The twigs are the objects of the senses. The tree also has roots growing down, and those are bound to the fruitive action. So like all that is all wrong, right? And then he says, Narupamasyeha tatopalabhyate nanto nana chadinasam. So he's saying that the real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends and where it begins, right? If you go out and look into the sky, you have no idea where your universe is starting, where it is ending. You're just somewhere out of nowhere, and we have no idea how we even came into this world, right? But with determination. This is what he says, asanga shastrena dhrinena chitva. So he says, it's with determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree. Thereafter, one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns. And there surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything began and from whom everything is extended since time immemorial. So he will take you through chapter 12 of devotional service, and then he will reveal this part to you, that this is the material world, but then having gone there, one does not return. In the context of our verse, is to be taken in a positive manner. Okay, it's not in a negative manner. So in today's verse, which is Bhagavad-gītā 8.21, here, right? So it is avyakta, but it is a transcendental avyakta. It is not visible because it is transcendental, right? And here, if you go and look into the purports, Krishna, Srila Prabhupada is also explaining that on this earth, there is a Brahma-Vṛndāvana. So the Brahma-Vṛndāvana means when there is Vrindavan on this earth, and it is transcendental. And how Vaisheshika Prabhu describes that as, if there is an Indian embassy in India, inside the Indian embassy, if there is a US embassy in India, then inside the US embassy, the rules of USA are prevalent, right? So if somebody, if there is an American and he did something there and the police is after him, the police can chase him. But if the guy enters into the embassy, then the police have to stop at the gate, and then they have to start the negotiations, conversations with the officials of the embassy, because the rules of America are prevalent there, like that. Similarly, on this Vrindavan, which is on this planet Earth, the rules of Vrindavan, the rules of Goloka Vṛndāvana, it's just that we do not have the eyes to see that. We do not have the qualifications to see whatever is happening. And all that we have to do is to clear our eyesight vision, which in this particular yuga is to do Hare Krishna Mahamantra, right? That's a yoga dharma. Also, those of you who are familiar with Hindi and would have also and are into Vrindavan, I'm not that much, I don't think I'm that qualified to even talk about it. But here Prabhupada is saying 168 square miles. Now, people would have also heard the term 84 kos or 84 crores, right? Have you heard that term, 84 crores? Anybody?
Yes.
84. Huh? Suna hai?
Yeah.
84 means 84. Now, if you look at this, then he's saying 84 krosa, then now Prabhupada is saying 168 square miles. So where is the thing? Now, if you notice, 168 and 84, what is the relation? Anybody good in maths over here? What's the relationship?
Double
It's
of
double.
84.
It's double.
It's the double,
84
exactly.
to 168.
Right. So, and the reason is that 1 square mile, this is square miles, and a krosa is 2 miles, right? So that's why they say that 84 square krosa, like that. Okay. So I will stop here and then open up for questions that are there. Any? Tomorrow is Ekadashi in the western part of USA. Just reminding everybody on that. And tomorrow I will do a home program also in Fremont in the evening, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It should be 6:30 a.m. on Saturday. For those of you who are in India, we'll broadcast this on Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube. We'll continue to read from the book, 4 Questions Asked. Okay, and then we'll also meet on our Sunday morning at 6:30 a.m. to do one more verse from Bhagavad-gītā. Okay, questions, Sukharupa.
Sanjay, when you were explaining about Brahma to Paramatma, right? Brahman to Paramatma, right? So what is the triggering point? Like in Brahma Jyoti, a soul starts thinking, or what triggers them to think like going up and down? What makes them think they're just staying there for maybe millennia, but then what is the triggering point?
There can be 2 triggering points. One trigger triggers them upwards, right? So that trigger, like the four Kumaras, the example was given today, right? So they were curious, and through their purification process, they remained in Brahma Jyoti, and they were still curious, and they were maintaining their practices. So they were blessed, and they went into Vaikuntha planets, and there they saw the smell of the tulsi leaves, which was offered to the feet of Krishna. It's a very beautiful words in Brahma-saṁhitā, in Srimad Bhagavatam. So when that air that was mixed with the aroma of the tulsi leaves offered to the feet of the Lord, that's what converted them, and then they became devotees, right? The other factor, triggering factor, is not a very good factor. It is boredom. And why?
Boredom.
Getting bored. Yeah, boredom. And why it is boredom is that we have to remember that originally we are wired. We have been made to do devotional service to Krishna. That's our nature. That is our swabhav. We are bhaktas. All of us are bhaktas. Even those who are roaming here and there doing non-Krishna conscious activities in a material body, those souls are also inherently devotees. It's just they are covered with so much of layers of desires and things like that, right? So now they will go there and with not having any activities, because to do any activities, your spiritual body has to manifest itself, right? The spiritual body has not manifested. You have not reached that level of purity. You have just reached a certain level of purity so that you could get rid of the material mind and the material body and the material everything. And you went to, but you are just hanging. So you can imagine in Brahma Jyoti, that the souls will be just hanging over there doing nothing. So they get bored and then they will fall down to this, right? And when they fall down, there is a big chance that they were pleasure seekers, right? They wanted pleasure in the first place. The soul wanted pleasure and thought that a way to get pleasure, and the math was wrong there. Their thought process was, the way I can get pleasure is if I get rid of all the miseries. But they did not realize that getting rid of all the miseries only brings you to the level 0, right? If miseries are negative and happiness is positive, getting rid of the miseries has only brought you to the level 0. Now, something better has to happen for you to go and become happy now, okay? So they will fall down here, and they could again, they have that understanding that this material body is a source of grief. They can again fall into that same cycle. And this time, as we said, that punar charvata charvananam, as we see in the material world, that in the material world we go into the upper planets and lower planets and upper planets and lower planets and keep on rotating in the material world like a Ferris wheel. Now, this soul can also rotate, but on a bigger Ferris wheel, where from the material they go to the effulgence and then they fall down, and then again they go, and many years they again go into the effulgence and again fall down. That can also happen. And that is why it will be their good fortune that a devotee comes in touch with them, right? And that's, you see those stories, how Prabhupada influenced so many people, right? How people take books from our book distributors who are out on the street on the weekends, and some of them even every week, every day of the week, right? They get in touch. So somebody gives them that transcendental touch. And from that, they are able to then pursue devotional service. And once they do devotional service, a very beautiful verse, and thank you for asking that question, Sukarupa. That was, where Krishna talks about Brahmano hi pratistaham, where he's saying that I am the basis of Brahman, right? But just a verse before that, he says, and when I bring this verse, you all will say, oh yeah, we know this verse. Mam chayobhya vicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityetan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So he's saying, one who engages in full devotional service unfailingly in all circumstances at once transcends the mode of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. And in today's verse also we were saying that, that those who are doing devotional service already have the Paramatma realization, the self-realization, the Brahman realization is already coming there, right? Because the moment you start doing devotional service, you're getting in touch with transcendence. And that transcendence, the more intimately you get in touch with the transcendence, the more impact it's going to have, right? For example, if you're sitting in front of a fire, right? What does fire give you? What are the two things the fire gives?
Heat, warmth, heat.
And warmth, right? So if you're sitting in front of the fire, you will get warmth, right? If you come closer to the fire, your eyebrows might get burnt, right?
Yes.
So the impact of the fire is there, okay? So similarly, when the closer you go into transcendence, the more impact that it has on you, and more transcendentalized your body will become. And slowly, as you progress in your devotional service, your spiritual swarup, like who am I? Like yesterday we talked about there can be kakus, there can be a bumblebee, there can be human beings in aeroplanes, there can be their beautiful wives in aeroplanes, there could be anything, there could be an aeroplane, right? Who am I? What is my swarup? What is the shape of my soul? Right? That also gets revealed to you at a very higher stage in devotional service, right? Right now we are sadhakas. We first focus on getting over the impurities that are there. Cheto darpana marjanam, right? We have to cleanse our mind there.
So they have a subtle body, Mataji, like in Brahma Jyoti, where they can think because they don't have the body, right? So devotional service, the 4 Kumaras they're doing, but
good question.
they may be for the mind, right?
When we talk about subtle body, usually in our conversation we talk about subtle body, we are talking about the material subtle body, right? So the mind and all that. But the soul by itself will have, the mind and all that. But then there is no difference between subtle and gross. So that's inconceivable for us. That how can there be no difference between an aeroplane and a man and a woman and a bee and a cuckoo and an elephant and a dog, right? But in the spiritual world, there's no difference. So in the spiritual world, there is no such thing as a gross body, subtle body, and a soul. The soul itself has got a shape. It's just that it doesn't know what shape it is, right? And then, of course, we can go deeper into and say like, well, but to know, you need to have a mind to know that, right? So that's going into the Sankhya philosophy
And the subtle body doesn't even, Hare Krishna ji, and subtle body doesn't even define their genders, no?
Yes. Subtle body doesn't. Gender is of the gross body. Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions?
Mataji, in text 3, in the
Which
last
chapter?
action, 8th chapter, action pertaining to the development of material bodies of the living
Yes.
entities is called karma,
Yes.
or fruitive activities.
Right.
So our
Very
body is determined, what body we will get is determined according to our karmas. Whatever
according to your karmas, yes, and your desires.
Then how to determine in this life that what kind of karmas did I do that I got this body?
Why do you want to determine that? Prabhupada says that if you have fallen into the sea, right? If you fall into the sea, if you are in a ship, on a cruise, right? And somebody pushes you into the sea, not you, okay. Somebody pushes a person into the sea, right? Now, somebody throws a rope and says to the man that you catch hold of the rope and we'll pull you back into the ship, right? But the man says, no. First, I want to know who pushed me, right? So Prabhupada says, don't do that. The rope has come, catch the rope and get back on the ship, right? You don't die. So, because there's no end. And in chapter 4, verse 17, Krishna says that it is very difficult to understand the intricacies of karma, right? And what gain will I get?
Mataji,
What gain will I get?
What I wanted to ask is that suppose I come to know that I did something wrong in my previous birth and I want to improve myself now, so that I get out of this cycle of birth and death. So that will help me in improving myself. That is why I asked this question.
Yes. And how many millions of births do you want to know?
I don't know.
Right? Because we don't know. There are millions of births. We said, right? 431, what was that? 411 trillion?
But we can never know what we did wrong in our previous birth. How will we know?
Yeah, how will we know?
To improve in this birth.
That is what she's asking. That's what Prashant is asking. She wants to know. And I'm telling her, why do you want to know? Right? Is it going to do any good? Now, if I were to say, okay, now, Varshana, I'm going to send you an email and there's a list of all the bad things that you did. And then you will ask them, how do I get rid of it? And I'll say, just do devotional service. The answer will be, just do devotional service. It will take care of all that. It will take care of, what is that verse that we do in Brahma-saṁhitā? Karmani nirdhati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. All your karmic reactions will get cleansed, right? Now, one can just take that sentence and say, okay, the Acharyas are saying, Brahma is saying, right, that do devotional service and that will take care of everything. Then I have a choice to follow it and just go back to Godhead. Or I can say no, but I want to know. And you can get that mystic power of knowing your previous birth. But remember, in that previous birth, in that knowledge, there'll be some other kinds of knowledge also that will come. For example, a person might, look at the wife and then look at the previous birth, a previous life and say, oh, she killed me in my previous birth. Now what do you do? So God, in all his wisdom, has hidden all that from us because we can't handle it. In all his wisdom, he has also hidden the future. Right? Can you imagine what would happen if you knew the future? We would be miserable. Completely miserable. And afraid. Because then we will know on such and such a day, at such and such a time, I am going to die. And there will be madness then, right? Because then I like to do everything before that. And I'll be unhappy. And I'll never be happy because I'm looking at anything good and I'm like, this is going to go away in X number of years, X number of months, X number of days, and X number of hours. That's all I will do. So God in his wisdom has hidden all these things from us. Now,
And the fact that we are here today, and the fact that we are here today means that we have not completed any of all the things that we were supposed to, like devotional service. That's why we are here.
Exactly. So the only thing that we need to understand is that karmani dirnahati kintucha bhakti bhajam. I don't care whatever my karmic reactions are. And so to be worried about that is to worry about when my next karmic reaction is going to come. And if I don't improve that mistake that I did, I'm going to suffer for it in future births, etc. I'll tell you an example. When I first started, my husband started driving in India. I was the first one to start driving and a car, and my husband started driving when I was on a tour, and he took the car and started driving it. But that's a different story. So, but when I came to USA, I would not drive the car. My husband used to drive, freeway, this, that, right? And he loves driving. He would drive. And so for me, freeway was a new concept because I grew up driving in the roads of New Delhi. And those of you who have lived in New Delhi know what that means, right? And so I used to drive that. I used to drive on those roads. But when I came to America, the speed was too much for me. So I stopped driving. But I would not take the freeway and all that. And my husband would, go take the freeway, join the lanes and go to the upper lanes and then smoothly drive and then come out. Then when I started driving, I was like, oh, I don't know how to change the lanes. I'm too small. I can't see the back and all that, blind spot and all. It's difficult. And so what if I, get hurt and all that? So I will just join the freeway. I'll stay in the first lane and then I will continue to drive on that lane, right? And then I'll find my exit and I'll go. So no going to the higher lanes there. And on that lower lane, if I can call the first lane as a lower and the other lanes as the higher there, on that lower lane, I was a miserable person driving it. And the reason for that was on that first lane, people are joining, so you have to slow down, and people are leaving. So they come in front of you and they are leaving that lane. So there was constant irritation or botheration or disturbance in my driving on that lane, right? And then one day I was late and I had to hurry. So I said, let me go to the higher lanes. And then the moment I went to the fourth lane, I was so surprised at the calmness which was there because nobody was changing lanes like that much. Because, you go to that lane because you have a long drive, right? I was coming back from the temple and I was like, oh, this is the beauty of a higher lane, right? And then after that, I always take the highest lane.
So highest lane is Bhakti Yoga.
Yeah. So what I'm just saying is that similarly, if our consciousness stays in a lower lane will basically be, it's not a bad lane. We are still on the freeway, right, of devotional service. If we are thinking that what is going to happen if my karmic reactions are not improved, my problems have not been improved or rectified, and I'm going to get into another birth, and to this birth I had pain in my knees and because of something I did, kicked somebody or whatever, and I didn't get out of the habit of kicking because I didn't know that it was because of the kick that my knees are hurting now. And so what if I do that again? And what if I get a body which will give me pain in the knee again in the next body? So that is one level of consciousness where you're afraid. And now we want to know what is my karmic reactions in store, right? And it's such a big store, right? The other higher planes as we go, then we say Vasudev para, what are the na kutaschina bhivyati swarg apavarga narkeshu apitulyat darshina. But as you increase in your devotional service and you reach the higher lane of devotional service, over there, you don't care whether the knee is hurting or not hurting, because hurting of the knee is a material concept. And the consciousness is already on such a high transcendental platform. How do you otherwise think Prabhupada was able to do whatever he did at 69? Right? How was he able to do that impossible feat? How was he able to accomplish that? Right? Because he was on a transcendental plane.
Mataji, can I ask a question, please?
Yeah, absolutely. But I just want to make sure I've answered
Mataji.
Varshana.
Yes,
Okay.
Mataji.
All
Thank you
right.
so much.
Okay, yeah.
This sloka, the one you are telling me, the karmani, nidrati kintu chuvaktu bhaju. The whole whole sloka, can you give me the
Okay, I will give you the shloka for the 6th time now.
Yes, to Indra Gopam.
Always you throw it away.
I'm not
You
asking
always
only
throw it
that
away.
line, Mataji.
Yeah, Yastra Indra
Yes,
Gopa
to Indra Gopa
Matavendra.
Matavendra Mahosva Karma Bandhanu Rup Palavajna
Now,
Matanu.
if you wanted to recite that, that's a different thing.
No.
And if you're asking me for the verse, that's a different thing.
I want the meaning, whole thing.
Now, what is the
Indra
question?
Gopam Atavendra
There
Mahotsva
you go.
Karma. Tell me, Mataji.
What do I have to tell you? Tell me. What is the
Oh,
question?
meaning, the whole thing.
Oh, you want me to
I
explain
have
it? Okay.
that.
Okay, give me the verse number. What is the verse number?
Most probably 54.
Most probably 54 or definitely 54.
Yes,
You should-
Indra Gopam Atavendra Mahotsva Karma.
Atavendra
Bandhanu Rupa
Mahotsa Karma?
Palavajana Matanoti.
Mahotsa Karma? Okay, so now you have to listen.
Okay.
All right, this is the verse.
Yeah.
So what he's saying here is, I adore the primeval Lord Govinda. Govinda Madi Purusham, right?
I have the meaning. I have whole thing.
So what do you want to then be explained?
Please explain me. With your language, explain me, Mataji.
With my language, okay, what this verse is basically saying is that
I adore the primeval Lord Govinda.
No. Okay, let me just explain in a few minutes and then I'll call it a day because it's getting late for everybody. So here, what I'm saying is that what Brahma is saying is that anything, the essence, okay, you should understand the essence. The essence is that anything which is in the material world, okay, anything which is in the material world, do not go by their position in society. It could be something so low as the insect called Indragopa, something that small red insect, right, that moves around in the autumn, that makmal velvety thing, right? It's such a small insect. It's an insect, and it can be trampled by anybody at any given time, right? Such a lowly personality all the way up to Indra, who is the king of the heavenly planets, right? From this to that, all of them are subject to karmic reactions.
Fruitive activities. Okay.
Reactions of fruitive activities, right? But if you do bhakti yoga, if you do bhakti, then your karmic reactions are all gone. Which karmic reactions? Not the only ones that you are suffering in this life. All others also that you will suffer in your subsequent life. All those are also cleared away, annihilated, burnt. Right? Karmani nirdahati. Daha means aag lagana, right? Dahati. So all that gets done. That's why when Varshana Mataji was asking me about how will I know this, I was telling her that pursue devotional service because that will clear the whole backlog that you have. Why do you have to worry whether it's going to cover, what's going to happen in the next life,
Okay.
So go to the higher lane. Go into that higher lane so that you don't have to worry about it.
Okay. Now I got it.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Alrighty.
Mataji, someday, if you have 10 minutes or so, Canto 4, chapter 27, I just want to understand the gist of the chapter.
What is chapter 27?
Mataji,
Not chapter. Oh, yeah. Chapter.
In Bhagavad-gītā?
Bhagavatam. Chapter 27, attacked by Chandaveik on the city of Puranjana.
Okay. Don't try to understand that. And I'll tell you why. Yeah. Don't spend too much on time in it. What Narad Muni is doing is that he's telling a story, right? A story. It is known as allegory, where he will, allegory is where constant contrast is there.
Yes, that is what was little.
Yeah, he's just doing a constant contrast, and so he will say, he was met with a lady, and that lady was Jara. So by being met by the lady called Jara basically means that you became old, right? Or you met with Jara's brother who was Mrityu, so that means that you died. like that. So he's just trying to explain things to him in a manner that is a question, that is a story. And actually, he was Narad Muni was trying to tell to the king Puranjan that that this is actually you, and this is your story. This is your story. And but he doesn't say that, because you can't say that to a king. The king will get upset, right? So he first gives him the story as if it is happening to somebody else, right?
Okay.
And then, for example, he says that he had a beautiful wife, and the wife got angry, and then later on he says, as you go subsequently in the further chapters of Bhagavatam, there he will say that the king then understands that, at certain point in time, the king understands, and when you get that realization, then humility comes. In the beginning, humility will not be there. Everybody is like, I am, the king. Then when the humility comes, he says that, is it me you are talking about? And then Narad Muni says, yes, I was talking about you. And so that's when the Shishyaste ham shadi mam tam prapannam happens. I'm your student, now explain it to me. Then he says, I did not understand that, please explain. And then he explains in plain language. So in the subsequent verses, you will understand that. So there's a lot of similes and,
Similes,
comparisons and all
that the soldiers and the the senses.
They will understand. There was only one. There was a snake that used to protect their castle. That snake is a super soul, like that, So you already know all those concepts.
Okay.
Just explaining
now,
it.
Actually, after you told that this is the thing, then my concept is a little clear, Mataji.
Yes. So in the Bhagavatam, if there are certain things that are very technical, and if you don't understand that and you don't have time or nobody else to explain it to you, just go with that mood that I do not have the understanding given to me by Krishna to understand this, right? And then, but we still will read it. We won't skip over the pages. We will still read it. And then we'll go to the next one, and we'll go to the next one, we'll go to the next one. And somehow, someday, if Krishna wants you to learn that and understand that, you'll suddenly, you'll be on internet or anywhere, or ISKCON Desire Tree or wherever, and you hear somebody's lecture there, or somebody will come to your temple and you'll hear that lecture. And my questions are all answered over there, like that.
Krishna does magic, Mataji. Forgetfulness, remembrance. I always think, why you give me forgetfulness? Just give me the knowledge and remembrance.
He has not given you forgetfulness, Mataji. You recited Brahma-saṁhitā verses today. 2 of them. So don't say
She's
that.
very good at memorizing verses, Mataji.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And she says, he gave me forgetfulness. She's saying that for last 2 years. Yeah, and for last 2 years, I'm telling her that, Krishna has given you. So get in the habit of appreciating Krishna. Whenever you memorize a verse, just appreciate and
but
say,
when I forget, sometimes I feel bad.
No, there's no need to feel bad. You just think that, Krishna has done it on purpose. There is some reason why Krishna has given that to me.
Oh, I have to think the reason.
Krishna says that the remembrance, forgetfulness, intelligence.
Yeah, that's what I'm
saying.
saying.
So whoever is fool, so Krishna has given that foolishness also.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't understand
that sloka
certain
says,
things.
I'll give you forgetfulness.
Krishna gave us all the foolishness, right? That's why we are here. Otherwise, we would have been in Goloka Vṛndāvana serving Krishna. We were fools to have fallen down here.
When I drink water, I think of him. Yeah, you are water.
Very nice.
But I don't know why sometimes forgetfulness. Then I think I'm getting old, that's why I'm forgetting.
All right, it is 7:22 today, and I'm getting phone calls. I have some meetings to attend, but thank you so much,
Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
As always. See you on Sunday, Mataji. See you on Sunday.